Good evening, good evening, good evening. Today is Tuesday, so you know what that means. It's another episode of Tuesday Talks with Tonia. I am your host, Tonia Gibbons, and we are here going to have a great conversation with my special guest, Ms. Danielle Harris. You know, this platform is for women, by women, about women. We want to educate, we want to empower, we want to equip, we want to do everything we can to make sure that women are supported, that they're encouraged, and that they know there is somebody out there that understands where you are, where you're trying to go, and probably can help you do what you need to do. So before I get started, I'm going to read Danielle's bio, but also want to acknowledge today in the music world, we lost a great D'Angelo.
Yes.
And so we do want to give a silent prayer for him, his family. I can only imagine what his child is going through, his family, his fans. And so, yeah, we want to lift up prayers to that family, that fan base, in honor of D'Angelo on today. Lady, Untitled, How Does It Feel, Brown
Yeah.
Sugar, and the list
Yeah.
goes on and on. Two-time Grammy Award winner. So, yeah, our condolences go out to the family and the fan base. And yeah, we'll keep them lifted up. So today I'm excited to talk to a good friend of mine who I've known for a long time. And she is just the most sweetest, most genuine professional that I know. Like she is a consummate professional. I'm gonna read her bio, and then I'm gonna let her tell you a little bit about herself that's not in the bio, because you know we don't put everything in the bio. So, Danielle Harris is an award winning entrepreneur, keynote speaker, and communication coach who has helped thousands of people unlock their voice and full potential by mastering the art of communication with over 2 decades of experience in teaching, broadcast journalism, and public relations. Danielle combines her passion for public speaking with her unique sense of humor to create fun and compelling learning experiences. She is the president and CEO of the Preaching Executive, a ministry consulting firm. Known for her engaging, playful, and practical approach, Danielle empowers executives and church leaders to break through their communication barriers, streamline ministry operations, and shine on every stage in their lives. She earned her master's degree in educational leadership from Augusta University, received a certification in leadership communications from Harvard Extension School at Harvard University, and a personal development coach certificate from the Coaching and Positive Psychology Institute, an affiliate of the International Coach Federation. She is currently a doctoral candidate at Liberty University, pursuing a PhD in communication. Welcome, Danielle.
I'm so glad to be here.
I'm so
Tanya, you
glad
are
to have
awesome. So I'm glad to be on your show.
you.
Yes.
It's a blessing for you to be here. We crossed paths. We've done so much connected work, personal and professional.
Yes.
And so it's always good to have somebody who can kind of understand where you've been,
That's true.
what you do, how you do it, how you move. And so, welcome to Tuesday Talks with Tanya.
Yes, I'm happy to be here. I
You.
am.
Yay. Tell us a little bit more about what we don't know, what we maybe, what's something fun that Danielle likes to do?
Oh, let me tell you, I love wigs. You know, I have hair that
Okay,
sometimes I
right.
do wear out, but I love my wigs.
Okay.
And I purge them, but the numbers keep growing. I used to have over 100 at
Wait.
one time. Yes. So I have a slight wig obsession.
Yeah, so you're like,
Just
not shoes, not purses, but
give me
wigs.
wigs, honey.
Girl, see,
Yes.
I tell you, it was something in this bio that she wasn't sharing. And so, and that makes you real, because a lot of times I think people look at you and they're like, oh, well, she's this, professional, and she's quiet, and, the demure and the everything. And it's like, no, I like to have fun and I like to look good.
Absolutely.
Like to look good. And she's
Yes.
always fashionable.
You are
She
sweet. That is you. That is you.
that's us. That is us. So she's always fashionable. But one thing I do admire about you is this your ability to kind of shape communications, shape people, conversations, stories, and you do it in such a way that, it seems so easy for you. Like, you make it look easy and sweatless when we know that is really not the case. Anytime you deal with communications, anytime you deal with leading communications for an organization, an individual, a company, what made you go into communications?
Well, I think the reason why I went into communication is because that's kind of the home I grew up in. So I'm a
Okay.
pastor's kid.
Yep.
And
PK.
so I grew up with communicators. My parents are preachers.
Yeah.
But aside from that, they're strong communicators. And so they just made sure my brother and I, we grew up in that environment that when you meet someone, everyone has a story.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even if it's a path you've never been on,
Mhm.
you can glean from their
Mhm.
story. And
Absolutely.
so just having an open heart. And when I meet people, hear their story so that I can learn from it. And then maybe I can use that story to encourage someone else.
Yeah.
So just kind of combining that, the world of communication, and having a heart to hear people's
Yeah.
stories, it just kind of morphed into
Yeah.
where we are today.
Yeah. And that's the thing, you know, when you think about it, even when I was reading D'Angelo's story, he's a PK
Yeah.
and he grew up in the church, and his form of communication was singing, and even bringing that out into the real world, you know
Right.
what I mean? Because a lot of times people think church people are a certain way, and it's like,
Yeah.
no, we're regular people.
That's
We just
right.
happen to worship and praise God and live out loud for God versus, you know, adapting to whatever the world is. And but we bring our gifts wherever we go,
That's
because
right.
your gifts are in the inside of you, and they make room for you wherever you go,
That's right.
not just in the church.
Right.
And it's a benefit to everybody, really,
True.
if they would really acknowledge that.
True.
So, what is one thing that you find is tough in this business? What is your biggest challenge? What is the biggest pain point?
The biggest pain point, I think, just in the world of communication, and I would say meeting authentic people is a pain point. And yes, I do, PR work for churches,
Yeah.
and just my whole career, right? That sometimes you like, we work in the business of creating an image and
Right.
maintaining
Right.
reputation.
Right. Yeah.
And so when you can meet authentic people
Yeah.
who are proud of who they are, proud of their journey,
Mhm.
it's so much easy to
Yeah.
work with them.
Yeah.
And especially if someone does have a hiccup on their journey, or if an organization does have a hiccup,
Yeah.
when they can be authentic to you about
Mhm.
what happened, it makes our job easy to
Easy.
repair and
Yes.
to maintain their
Yes.
reputation.
Yes.
So I like to tell people, I'm like one sneeze from a lawyer.
Right.
So don't let me find out somewhere
Right.
down the line that you lied to me,
Right.
because then you'll make my job harder.
Right.
But if people
Right.
can just be authentic
Mhm.
every step of the journey, it makes our lives easier as PR
Yeah.
professionals,
Yeah.
because then we know that what we're promoting is authentic.
And that's a good point. So our conversation today, if you did not look at the flyer, which is gorgeous, thanks to Bliss, the strategist, it's the you don't say the do's and don'ts of public and media relations. Because a lot of times everybody want to be on TV, everybody wants to talk about different things, and they want to be out front. However, it is really crucial to know what you're doing, to know what you're going to say, what you should not say. I've seen some train wrecks, press conferences, and the like, and it's just like, who is your person? Like, where's your PR? Like, eh, you should not be up there saying that. What are you doing? And so, how do you approach those that you're doing that type of work for? Communications, you creating press releases, you're creating, you know, talking points. Like, what is the number one go to for you in preparing things for someone that you're representing or doing work for?
So if I'm working with an organization, and I'll just call them like a client, right?
Yeah.
I try to, say if the CEO is not the best speaker, who is your best
Right.
speaker? And let's put
Yeah.
them in front of the
Yeah.
camera, and let's just
Yeah.
keep the CEO close
Yeah.
by.
Yeah.
So in the world of church, I do the same thing.
Okay.
So maybe who on your board is the best speaker?
Yeah.
Let's put them in front of the camera, and we'll let the pastor say a few words. But
Right.
if he or she is not the best
Right.
communicator, they don't need to be the one talking
Absolutely.
the entire time.
Absolutely.
But if, depending on the situation, whether it's good or bad, we might need the CEO up front, or you might need the pastor, right?
Yeah.
So I'll do a lot of coaching on the front end too,
Yep.
and you might hear me say this a lot, so that they remain authentic.
Yes.
The bullet points that I give them to say,
Yeah. Yeah.
is it true?
Yes.
Is it honest?
Yes.
And just coaching them through the best way to articulate it, so that they remain credible,
Yes.
and that the audience
Yeah.
connects with them.
Because people can read through stuff like that.
Absolutely.
If you're not authentic, if you're not credible, people be like, that doesn't even sound
That's
right.
right.
Because even when they're speaking, even when you're speaking, people can tell whether you're being truthful,
True.
honest, authentic. And a lot of times I think people think they're so much more savvy or so much more smarter than the listener or the one who is digesting the content
Mm-hmm.
that they, fabricate, make up.
True.
And it's just like, no, don't do that because
Right.
people can tell that
That's
you're
right.
not authentic and
Mm-hmm.
it comes across. I know when I have a client, and I have one client right now, she is terrified of being in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
When she's sitting and it's just, us talking or her and another client, she rattles off things. And I'm like, why couldn't you say that when you were? She's
Right.
like, it's something about the camera. So I've been coaching her on, you know, just think of this as a person who is a potential client
That's right.
that is going to use your
That's
service.
right.
That is all this is a conversation because you're telling them the benefits of what you do, why they should do it. That's what it is because you're authentic then. You don't have to think or overthink. And a lot of times people overthink,
Yes.
which causes them to stumble,
True.
which causes them to get all out of sorts. And then you don't deliver a good story.
That's right.
Because at the end of the day, you have to tell the story.
You do.
And how do people grab hold to the story and know that it's true, it's honest, it's authentic? The preaching executive. I love that. I love that.
Thank
And
you.
it's so you. It's so you. Like, no, in my mind, no one else could do the preaching executive.
Thank
So
you.
tell me about the preaching executive. What is that? What is your goal? What are you doing with the preaching executive?
Yeah, so the Preaching Executive is a ministry consulting firm, and we specialize in leadership communications and ministry operations.
Okay.
And so, on the leadership communications aspect, I really help pastors, ministers, and whatever the leader might be in the ministry to communicate in a way, whether it's across the pulpit in a sermon, whether it's talking to their staff, communicate, or even talking to the media,
Mm-hmm.
communicate in a way where it resonates to your audience.
Okay.
Because how you speak
Yes.
in a pulpit
Yes.
is not the
It's
same way
different.
you talk to your staff.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not the same way that you talk to a reporter.
Not.
And so there's a way that leaders can communicate with their teams so that the organization can get the results they want. Truth be told, people don't like looking at churches as a business.
Right. They
But
don't.
it is a 501c3. They're volunteers, there's
Mm-hmm.
staffs, there's
Mm-hmm.
people bringing their finances.
Mm-hmm.
And so they need leaders that know how to communicate well
Mm-hmm.
and handle operations so that
Absolutely.
those churches stay afloat. And so that's why, aside from the leadership communications, the ministry operations matters a lot to
Yeah.
me because we need to make sure that everything we do is done in excellence.
Yes.
So from when people walk through those doors,
Absolutely.
that's a sign of how much we respect God and how much we
Absolutely.
respect them. So from the time they walk through the door to what your bathroom looks like, to
Mm-hmm.
what your building
Mm-hmm.
looks like,
Mm-hmm.
to announcements,
Mm-hmm.
to the benediction,
Yep.
all of that matters. So
It
how can we
does.
streamline operations so that your team feels fulfilled
Yeah.
and those who visit your church also feels fulfilled?
And that's a good thing too, because a lot of times in churches, if people are removed from the pastor or from the vision, they don't really get in alignment.
True.
Then it's kind of chaotic when
That's
you
true.
come into a church, and people can feel that. And you have to put your best foot forward always, no matter what, from the usher to the praise team to the media team to whoever else is a part of the ministry. And I think a lot of times that get lost because people don't want to look at it as a
They
business.
don't.
And we know it's a business only in the sense of organizational structure.
That's right.
That's
right.
it.
That's it.
That's it. That is
That's
the only difference.
Mhm.
But outside of that, you still have to make sure those things are on point, just like any other organization.
That's right.
You want to make sure you have the right people in the right positions, doing the right work,
That's right.
and everybody knows the mission and the vision of the church. So you can speak in one voice and communicate.
That's right.
Because if you talk to somebody crazy, it might not be a good result.
No.
You might be met with
No.
something that you're not expecting.
That's right.
Yeah.
So hence the name, the preaching executive.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to think like an executive
Yeah.
as well as know how to deliver God's word properly.
And I love that because a lot of times I think people expect us to speak Bible 24/7.
Oh no.
And it's like, no, it depends on who my audience is.
There you
Because
go.
I don't want to turn someone away who doesn't want to hear the word.
That's right.
But I have to be able to communicate in the marketplace. I have to be
Mhm.
able to communicate in the, in the religious field.
That's
And
right.
wherever I go, you have to have a communication pattern standard for whatever arena you're in.
That's right.
It's like when in Rome, do as the Romans.
That's right.
So you can't go to a business meeting and preaching, because that's not the platform for that. That is not the time, that is not the space. But a lot of times I think people don't know how to get out of that because that's all they know.
True.
And so you have to help people. So that's what you do, help people navigate all of those different scenarios and circumstances.
Absolutely. I like to say, I help them identify those learned behaviors. And so, how can you, if we can identify them, then we can correct them.
Yeah.
So, when you are in the boardroom, let's say
Yeah.
with government officials,
Right.
you know how to switch. Some
Right.
people might call it
Code switch.
but you know how to switch so that you
Yeah.
can communicate with government officials.
Yeah.
You know how to communicate with educators.
Mhm.
And then you know how to communicate with your congregation.
That's
So
right.
it matters. Those
Yeah.
skills.
Do you get a lot of pushback, or are a lot of people intimidated by, having to be coached?
You know what I run into? Some people feel like, oh, I don't need that. Oh, I don't need to know
I know what I'm doing.
to have I am already a good public speaker. You hear me on Sundays, and I get that. And
Mhm.
so I would say that's like my biggest
Yeah.
pushback is more
Yeah.
on the communication
Yeah.
side and not so much the ministry operations.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't have really any issues on people wanting help on how to streamline
Yeah.
their operations.
Yeah.
But that communication
Yeah.
side, people say
Yeah.
they already have it down pat.
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
and even if you feel like you do, there's always room for
Always room for improvement. And I think that's the thing. People have to be open minded because we're not perfect at anything.
no, ma'am.
Every one of us learns something new every day, or we should. We should, because if you're not learning something is wrong, you might as well be dead.
That's right.
We should be learning something new every day.
Mhm.
And a lot of times in our minds, we are greater in our minds than we actually are. But
True.
it takes someone who can receive wisdom, because that's wisdom. Someone coming in who has, experience in this. I know what I'm talking about. This is what I study. This is what I do. So and it's here as a benefit and a tool for you to help you, not to diminish anything that you do, not to diminish what you've accomplished, but to help you navigate in different scenarios, because you can't preach to government officials.
You can't.
You can't preach to the media.
No.
Those conversations have to be different.
That's right.
If you want to be heard, because people will tune you out. Sometimes if I'm watching something and they just go off grid, I'm just like, yeah, I just have to turn the channel. I don't want to hear.
Mhm.
I don't want to listen. I don't even want to see. And so I try to help my clients by helping them, number one, build confidence, but build trust in me leading them, because I'm only here to help you, not hurt you. And I think if people approach it that way, then they're more receptive. But then, you still will have pushback. I don't need that.
That's
I
true.
got this.
Very true.
And so, where have you found the most joy in doing what and where?
In this line of work, you get this feeling where you're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when I think about what I'm doing now and helping churches, so again, I grew up in it and I'm still in it.
Yeah.
So taking what I've learned just studying from my parents and who built a thriving church from the ground up, and then also looking at other ministries and taking what I know from the financials to the operations to the communications to whatever the aspect may be. And I have a lot of joy working with small to medium sized churches.
Yeah.
These churches that don't have the budget.
Right.
So showing them how they can use, for instance, AI
Yeah.
to make their life easier.
Yeah.
So no, you may not have the graphic designer, but let me show you how you can use this free version of AI.
Exactly.
So that brings me so much joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
To show them how they can use certain resources to help stretch their dollar so that they can serve their community well.
Right.
And then of course I teach. So I know I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. So I have a lot of joy.
And that's good when you know your purpose,
Mhm.
and when you can walk in that purpose, and it's easy. It's not a struggle,
Right.
because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. A lot of times I think we flounder because we're not sure of our purpose.
That's true.
And we're, uncomfortable wherever we are, because that's not our purpose.
That's true.
I tell anybody, anything that you're willing to do for free, that's what you should be doing.
Right.
Because that's your purpose. You should walk in it. And it's easy for people to look on the outside and be like, oh, they got it all together. That's not necessarily the case.
No.
We have issues, and sometimes we forget things that we teach, and a lot of, even me, I don't do a good job of promoting my stuff myself.
Yeah,
I don't do
me
a good
too.
job of, just all the things that I know I should be doing as a PR professional, as a consultant. The advice I give to my clients, I'm like, girl, you got to do it yourself
I'm with
too.
you. Yes.
Because we get so caught up in making sure that we're doing what we need to do for those that we serve, even if it's not for a paycheck. Because sometimes, you're doing things for people in the community or for organizations because you just have a heart to do it. And, I'm intentional about that, and it's not free for all.
Right.
But, sometimes we just can do things that we don't charge people for. And that's a blessing in being able to work for yourself. A lot of times when you work for other people, you have constraints that you work within. Um, Tell me about a time that, he was like, I don't know if this is what I want to do. Has there ever been a time like that?
Oh God, yeah. There's it's frustrating, and especially when you're stepping out to start your own
Yeah.
business, and sometimes you're not always appreciated in the
Yeah.
home base,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so stepping out and trying to get leaders to see, like, no, this is a needed thing. And when you get pushback, sometimes again in your hometown, it can be like, and but in those moments, you have to just remind yourself, this is where this is my calling. And there's a scripture where it says, my sheep know my voice.
Yep.
And I hold on to that. That whoever I'm supposed to work with,
Right.
they know my voice.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so that's what I tell
Absolutely.
myself.
Yeah.
And I just hold on to that. And even, in my past years of PR, I always knew something like this was in me to do. So you just have to navigate and trust the process, and just remember that whoever is supposed to work with you, they'll see you, they'll find you. You just have to keep doing the work.
Absolutely. And that's key, because sometimes it's very frustrating sometimes in your own hometown, because people don't understand what you bring to the table. They don't understand your value. Or they take a lot for granted. They take you for granted. And it's just like, wow, I'm just out here trying to do good, do right by people. And those I'm learning, well, they're not your people.
Right.
And don't be offended by it.
That's
They're
right.
not your
And that's
people.
okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, they're not
It
your
really
people.
is okay. I used to get in my feelings. I used to get upset and be like, yeah, I would really be upset. But the more I do and the more I live, and I go where I'm received.
There, that's it.
I go where I'm received. And a lot of times I don't try to go and take over anything. My gift makes room for me.
That's right.
I get calls or I get inquiries, and it's from the unlikeliest of people. And I'm like, and I just be like, okay, God, I see you.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, that's who I have to depend on.
That's right.
Is Him. He's the source. Everything else is a resource. Everybody else is a resource.
That's right.
And so I've learned that over the years, starting a business from the ground up and putting in sweat equity, and then expecting people to just knock down the door and, oh, I want your service. And then it's like crickets. And you're like, wait a minute now. I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
So how do you stay motivated and, on the path?
What motivates me is, again, it's like I remind myself that, Danielle, this is exactly where you're supposed to be. God called you to this. And you can't negate the days of small beginnings.
Right.
And as you grow, like, even as I think about myself now, I'm 40. In a few weeks, I'll be 41. So I'll be starting at the bottom of 40s. And so there's always progression.
Yeah.
And so you can't stop in the process.
Yeah.
And you have to not let external factors stop what's happening internally. And so does it hurt? Yes. Does it get frustrating? Absolutely. But you have to keep the end goal in mind. And I also do my best to keep people around me that will hold me accountable, that will let me. So so I have those barriers around me, but I also do a lot of self-talking.
Yeah. So you have a team.
I do.
That's awesome.
I do.
We have to have a team.
We do.
I didn't have one before. And now that I have one, I'm just like, oof. It's like a weight.
Exactly.
Literally a weight that I don't have to think about certain things. I don't have to, run myself crazy with certain things because the team comes in and assists and, does things probably far beyond what I would even expect them to do.
Right.
Because we're not meant to do this thing alone. We're meant to have a team. There's no way we could survive without any help or assistance from
That's right.
somebody.
That's right.
And I try to tell people that a lot of times they don't want to hire people or they don't want to get help. And it's like, but you can't do it
You
all.
can't.
You can. I know we do think we can. I used to have the superwoman syndrome. I have taken that cape off.
Hello.
I have thrown that cape and burned it. Like I'm not. I'm not superwoman. I'm not. Even though in my mind before I did think I was. But you learn quickly that you burn yourself out.
You do.
You don't do a good job. And at the end of the day, we want to do the best.
That's right.
Operate in the spirit of excellence.
That's right.
And so, in order to do that, having the right people around, having a team, having, a plan.
That's right.
Because a lot of times, people in business, and I started out this way, just haphazardly, oh, I'm doing this today, tomorrow I'm doing it. Nothing really concrete and strategic. And then I'm like, that's not going to work.
No.
You don't get the right results if you're haphazard.
That's
So
right.
from a communications and a PR stuff, I always do a little research. And some of the do's that they say in public and media relations that you should do: research thoroughly, build relationships, be timely, and create a media kit. So research, what do you do from that perspective and what your role is? Do you do a lot of research?
I do. And I encourage my clients to do the same thing because you need to know who's in your area. Who, what's the media outlets? Who are the government officials? And one of the main questions I ask my clients, especially the new folks to me, I'm like, why does your church exist? And if you can't answer that question, we're not ready.
Yeah.
And so if you can answer, why does my church exist? Because we got a whole bunch of churches.
Absolutely.
But there's nothing against that because I mean, you got Home Depot and Lowe's.
You're right.
Okay? You got Waffle House and Huddle House.
You're
So
right.
there's nothing
You're
to that.
right. You're right.
But if you can answer that question, why does your church exist? Then that helps you know who your people are.
Yeah.
And you can research their needs.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you're not touching the entire community, but you know what that group needs that you need to serve. So you need to research the needs of your community, the financial aspects of your community, just as much, get as much information as you can so you'll know how to communicate and connect with your community.
And that's key. How do you connect? Because everybody is different.
That's right.
You can reach me, but you can't reach this person because their need is different than mine.
That's right.
And if you don't know from a holistic standpoint, then you're missing out.
That's right.
And a lot of times, to me, the church is, I didn't grow up in the South. So my experience from a church perspective was based on, the Midwest and up north. And it's very much different in the South.
That's true.
And I think in the South, they just have this ideation that people are going to come to church just because it's a church.
Right.
And that's not the case. And church looks very different these days too. And they meet different needs. And a lot of people that I've met that don't go to church, and I ask why, it's because of something that happened to them in a church, or how they were treated in the church, or how they were dismissed in the church. And it's just like, so we have to fix that. And that's where you come in from the preaching executive, how to communicate and talk to people.
And that research, because every generation is different. The needs are always evolving. So your church, or even take away from the church, any organization, you have to know what are the current needs and the forecasted needs of your community so that your business or your ministry can stay connected and remain relevant.
The other thing, build relationships, and that's one thing I'm very key on. I was given the title of relationship broker.
Yes, that's you. Yes, that is true. Yes, ma'am.
Because it really is all about relationships. Everything moves at the speed of a relationship. And in business, in church especially, you don't want to be transactional. You have to build a relationship. Because once you build that relationship, it's easy for me to come and say, hey, Danielle, I have this going on. Or, hey, Danielle, would you come and join me? Versus if it's a transaction, you just want people to come to your church and give and then worship, and then you don't have any connection with them after that. That's not going to work. Or any organization for that matter, especially the nonprofits. And I tell my clients this, I'm like, do you want someone to be a repeat client or do you want somebody just one time? Because if you're transactional, they're only going to come one time. But if you build a relationship with them, they'll be back and then they'll bring others. So that's the thing about building relationships, because once you introduce somebody to something or someone and you really build a relationship, they'll be, hey, girl, did you know about such and such? And then they'll tell somebody else. And so that's how you build your community, your client, whoever your consumer is. And I try to educate people on that. A lot of times people, they just about the dollar. You'll get that dollar, but will you get two? Or will you get five?
That's right.
And you want that dollar to make a return. You don't want to just get a dollar, because then when you pay taxes, what you're going to end up with 10 cents.
That's right.
No, I need recurring dollars, But building relationships is so key because we become a transactional people. And it's sad. And that's why people are so standoffish, no matter what it is. If you approach someone and say, hey, this is what I do, this is my business, they're kind of skeptical because they're just used to people being transactional.
That's true.
What do you say about the relationships?
Relationships are key. Everything you said is absolutely on point.
Yeah.
Again, no matter what field you're in, but of course, I do a lot with churches.
Right.
I strongly encourage churches to build relationships with the media. Like, they're not your enemy.
Right.
They are your free source to the community.
Yep.
And so when a reporter reaches out to you, be timely.
Yeah.
Stay connected with them.
Yeah.
And it's not transactional. You're not just reaching out to them when your church is having a function. Like, you are making yourself and your ministry a resource to that news outlet, so that they know, oh, we can always go to Tonia, or, vice versa.
Right.
I also say, regardless of whatever, business that you're in, but definitely churches, is to connect with other ministries that are doing similar work, because you can't do it all.
Cannot.
And so if you're just siloed and, my church is Pentecostal, I can never work with an Episcopal church. Well, guess what? I mean, I thought we worked for the same boss.
That part, at the end of the day.
Exactly. And so, you may steal your chicken and I may fry it, but at the end of the day, it's still chicken. So if we could just work together and say if I have a food pantry drive and you have a food pantry drive,
right,
with your ministry to do that, and then guess what? We have built this bond. Yeah. And so I think,
and the impact is great.
And that's the end goal. And it's not so much whose name got it.
It doesn't matter.
It's the impact. Yeah. So relationships matter.
And the media too. I've built some strong relationships with the media, even prior to the mayor's office, because I've always been so interested and fascinated with that. I done radio in different spurs, and not from a profession, but I always get opportunities to do radio, to do interviews, to do television, and it's just connecting the dots and connecting people, because that's my job, is to connect people, to resources, to opportunities. And so relationships with the media, you're right, they're not our enemy. And they're always looking for good stories. They're always looking to tell the positive stories. They don't want to just report bad stuff, but don't just call them when you have something going on and that's it. Build a relationship with every station, know who's on, those types of things. And I tell my clients the same thing, watch the news, pay attention. When I introduce you to someone, make sure you remember their name, make sure if they reach out to you, you respond. And so I've had success with all of my clients, with media, because of my relationships, because again, it's about relationships. And so typically if I email somebody, whether it's WJBF, whether it's 1226, Fox 54, I get a response, because people know, okay, number one, Tonia's a trusted voice, because that's key too.
That's right.
You can have a relationship, but if you're not a trusted voice, they're like,
that's true.
We don't know what we're going to get with this one. That's why it's authentic, honest, transparent, right. And so, and I'm not just going to bring anything and anybody to them. I'm going to vet. I'm going to make sure that they're ready. I'm going to make sure that everything is together.
That's right.
Instead of just, just because they are my people. No, that's not true.
Right.
There are plenty of people that I have not ever tried to get on this. And it's because either you're not ready, or you're doing it for the wrong reasons, and you're not really interested in building relationships. You're just interested in getting what you want at that time. And so relationships are key. And then you mentioned being timely.
That's
I've had, you know, the TV stations and stuff reach back out to me because, hey, I've been trying to reach such and such at such and such. Do you have a contact? And I'm like, I don't even work for them, but they call me because they know that I may have a connection. And I'm just like, that's never a good look.
it's not.
That's never, because when you really do want to work with them, they're going to be like,
That's true.
you didn't even respond when we reached out to you.
That's
so
true.
you're not a priority. So being timely is so
It's
critical.
key. It's
so
key.
critical.
Absolutely.
And what do you think about creating a media kit? Now I have media lists. I have lists. What do you think about creating media kits?
I think it's needed.
Yeah.
It's definitely needed.
Yeah.
Regardless, if you're a nonprofit, church, entrepreneur, you need a media kit so that you have that list on hand. You have photos.
Yep.
Take stock images
Yeah.
of your Easter egg hunts, your Resurrection Sundays, whatever industry you're in.
Yeah.
Build that so that reporters reach out. You already have headshots of leadership. You already have headshots, and you're not trying to scramble. And that keeps you timely.
Yes, because then you're not trying to gather all of those things.
Right.
Yeah, because I don't have it.
And it makes you look. You're moving with excellence when you have a media kit.
When you're ready.
So that's right.
You got to stay ready.
That's right.
Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
That's right.
Yeah. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Absolutely.
So some of the don'ts: send irrelevant pitches, neglect follow-ups, mislead or misrepresent. So explain to people what a pitch is and what that should look like if you really should pitch.
Yeah. So a pitch, this is how I look at it. Pitch is something very short and brief that you're just like in baseball, you're pitching it to the media. Here's an idea. Here's an event that we have coming up.
Yeah.
And here's someone who can talk about it.
Right.
And just, you hope that a reporter picks up on it, but it's not enough just to email this brief paragraph with a picture maybe out to a reporter. You need to follow up with that. Take the next step and call them. Hey, I sent you all an email. I sent it maybe on Tuesday. Just want to follow up. Just let you know that I have someone in my church that's able to talk to you. So again, you're sending this idea out, but you're doing the necessary follow-up just to make sure reporters, hear your voice, and you're just putting it back up in their face. Because reporters are so inundated with so many emails. And just that one step further by making that call helps them put that information in front of their eyes.
It is about relationships again, because listen, I have most 90% of the people that I deal with in the media phone, I'll send a text, hey, sent you an email, but here's the graphic on your text, just so you'll have it on your phone, because again, they may not check emails as frequently as we need.
Sure.
And so it depends on how far out you send, and Augusta's a little different. So if you send something out too soon, then it's
forget about it.
And then if you wait till the last minute, you're going to miss that window. So talk about the timeline of when you need to communicate something. What is the standard?
Yeah. So my recommendation is, if it's something like extremely massive, right? That's going to happen in 2026. I don't see anything wrong with you letting media know in 2025 that this is coming, depending on how massive it is, right? But definitely, the closer you get, I say maybe like 30 days out. You want to do something maybe 2 weeks out, definitely something 48 hours out, something the day of.
Right.
But you definitely, I say you want to base it on how big that event is. But definitely when you get into that 2 month out, 3 month out window, you need to start making some calls and sending out things to let folks know that this is coming.
Yeah. And I'm in contact with someone that's doing something in March of 26, and they reached out, probably, this is October, so probably end of August. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll connect you with the people, because they're not in the city. I said, but don't do it too early, because then people are going to forget about it. And don't wait too late. So I was giving them that same spiel, like, hey, you got to do it just right, because Augusta's a different market. They consume information different.
Yes.
They're different. And so you just have to know the community.
That's right.
But that's a whole thing about research. Do your research. That goes back to research. Know your community. know who your core audience is and how they like to consume information,
That's
where
it.
they consume
That's it.
information,
That's it.
because those things are key. Everybody doesn't follow social media.
No.
Everybody doesn't watch the news.
No.
So you have to have a variety of platforms that you communicate from.
That's right.
And so I tell people all the time, don't you think you did something on Facebook, but what about the 15,000 people that don't even have a Facebook page?
That's true.
So how are they going to get your information? How are they going to know? Okay, some people don't listen to radio anymore, but that's still an outlet. So you do have an audience with radio.
That's right.
You have an audience with television. You have an audience with social media. So there are and then sometimes you just have to print a piece of paper.
Yes, ma'am.
And take it to the library, take it to the community centers, leave it on people's jobs.
That's
they have,
right.
Boards that you can post announcements. You have to be creative if you want to reach everybody.
That's true.
Because people are everywhere and they consume information differently.
Yes.
And so a lot of times I think people miss out on a lot because they're stuck or they're conditioned that, oh, I just need to send it to the news and that's it. Yeah, but what about the people who don't watch the news?
That's right.
Because there's a lot of people that intentionally don't watch the news.
That's true.
Because they feel like it's negative, not knowing that there are positive things that are get covered. But what are some of the things? How would you encourage someone that says, I don't have a big budget, but I do need help in this area? What would you tell them is probably, and I don't cost efficient, that they could do that could help build or help them do what they need to do from a communication standpoint if they couldn't afford to hire you?
Yeah. You touched on a good bit of them already. So of course, social media, like that's free.
Yeah.
You can post it on your socials. You can have your, your church members or whatever the case may be, like share it, have grandma share it, have people share it.
Yeah.
And also I've learned that on social, it doesn't cost that much
Right.
to boost.
Yeah.
But also go to your local library, print out copies, and just I'll say this too. When you go out, you print your copies. Is there a festival coming up?
Right.
Go to that festival.
That's right. That's right.
And just start passing it out.
Yeah.
Shake hands.
Yeah.
You got to get creative. What's happening in your city that you can expose yourself to, that people are at,
absolutely,
so that you can pass these
because that's free
out.
media.
It is free media.
It's free.
In addition to that, it's free to reach out to reporters and say, "Can I talk to you?" And guess what? Getting in front of that camera, I know it's scary, but it's free.
It's free.
And
figure it out.
So again, what's happening in my city?
Yeah.
And how many flyers can we?
Yeah.
For $30.
Right. Exactly.
Let's get out there.
Exactly.
And check this out. If I run out of flyers, there's nothing wrong with shaking hands.
That's right. Hey,
I'm Danielle.
That's right.
And I want to let you know.
That's right.
So you just you can't be afraid to talk to people, because word of mouth to me is still the best form of marketing.
Absolutely.
And so I would highly recommend that. What's going on in my city, make the investment on making flyers to get out there. And of course, like you said, put them in community centers where people are going to go. And just whatever works with your budget, make it happen.
Yeah. And I tell people, because there's a difference between earned media and paid media.
Absolutely.
One of my clients that I currently have, she paid for some media exposure twice and did not get anything from it. She hired me. This is my second month working with her. She's already been on WJBF, the Means Report. Her phone started ringing before the segment even aired. It was the preview. People heard, and she said she called me like the day after we recorded, and she's like, "Tonia, my phone's already ringing. The segment doesn't air until Monday." I said, "Well, yeah, they saw the She's like, "Do you know how much I paid to be on a certain show twice, and I didn't get a return on my investment at all?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "That's the difference between relationships, earned media, and you have a product that people need. You have a business that people need, and they heard that, and you came across authentically. Hey, this is something for you." I said, "So they heard that," and she said, "My phone been ringing all day," and I was like, "Okay, I did my job."
That's how it works.
That is exactly how it works. But you have to be in the mind of, I'm going to put out the best information possible.
That's right.
And I'm expecting something back.
That's right.
Because I put an expectation on what I do. Okay, Lord, you put me in this position. I expect this, this, and this.
That's right.
When I walk in the room, people are going to know my name. They're going to know who I am. Even if I'm not in the room, my name is still there.
That's right.
My name is still there. Just like yours. Your name is always there.
Well, I appreciate that.
It is.
But it's because we do right by God and we do right by
That
people.
part. That part. Because you have to do right by
You
him
have to.
and his people.
That's right.
Because you can't scheme and be malicious and be all these other things, because it's never going to work out right.
It doesn't.
Never. And I think that's the thing that helps us, because we have a heart for this.
We do.
We don't do this for flame,
No.
fortune, glitz, glamour. We do it because we have a heart to, and it's about serving, because even in this capacity, we serve.
Yes.
We serve our clients, we serve those that we support, we serve media, we serve everybody.
That's right.
And so I think that's another thing, with the relationships, people know, oh, I know Tonia the real deal. She ain't bringing me no mess. And this is what she does. And be happy. Be, joyful. Don't go in there begrudgingly and have an attitude, or don't go in there thinking people have to do certain things, because they don't.
They don't.
They don't. And you have to know how to talk to them. You have to know how to talk to reporters. You have to be kind and cordial. And, but I've seen some horrible people. I'm like, you really talk, they have the upper hand.
Absolutely.
You do
And
that?
hot mics.
Why would you act like that? And do you know you will be the topic of conversation?
Absolutely.
I have friends in radio, bless their hearts, and I'm like, why did they say that? Do you not know who you're talking to? Because you're going to be a topic of conversation.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow. But be mindful of how you talk to people, how you treat people, because it comes back.
It does.
And then when you need them, they're going to be like, she's rude. I don't like her. She doesn't know how to talk to people.
That's true.
So then whoever you work with, work for, work alongside, they're missing out.
That's true.
Because of your attitude, because of how you treated people, how you talk to people. Like, it's like, come on. One of the things that I do, I tell people, prep for any conversation that you're going to have, whether it's in front of the camera, whether it's radio, whether it's a meeting. Prep for that conversation. Don't go half cocked and half blind and don't know what you're talking about. Don't waste people's time.
No.
Time is something you cannot get back. And I tell clients, friends, whomever, be prepared for whatever conversation and whatever space that you're going into, especially the media. Be knowledgeable about the topic with data if possible. Because, we have homeless people. Okay, well, how many? Or what pockets? Where are they at? Oh, we just got a lot of homeless people. Well, what does that mean? And homeless is different than just unhoused.
That's right.
I could be homeless and living with someone.
True.
Because I at least have someone's couch I can stay on, or I can be in a shelter. So there's different levels to homelessness. So anything that you talk about, be knowledgeable, have data, have things that you can share. Hey, the fact is there are 76% of our homeless population have a college degree, whatever that looks like. Be knowledgeable when you go into the conversations. Check and double check your sources, because when I heard about D'Angelo today, I almost didn't believe it, because I'm like, they always trying to kill people. They will kill somebody in a minute. I'm
Very
like,
true.
But then when I saw a trusted source, when you saw MSN, when you saw all these credible media outlets, I'm like, oh, okay, it's real. Even with Diane Keaton the other day, I was like, Jesus, what's really going on? But I look for certain sources. If I see it on a certain source, okay, it's real.
Right.
Because we get scammed a lot these days
That's
and times
true.
with the platforms, social media, with even television. Sometimes they get it wrong. But, there are certain trusted sources that you really rely on to tell you the truth. That, okay, that's real. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, dang. How do you tell a story? How do you convey a story to an audience? So for instance, if I wanted to share, and I mean, and we're talking to each other and we know, but for the audience, like if you have a story that is really a compelling story, what do you advise people to do? How do you advise them to tell their story? Because sometimes people have a story and they don't even realize they have a story. How do you pull it out of people? How do you get the real story so that it can be something that people want to hear, people will lean into? What do you do for that?
Yeah. So first off, I tell people, if you have a story that you want to share, know who's in the room. So know your audience first, because I wouldn't go real deep with fourth graders.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
So you have to know who's in the room. And then based on that, secondly, I would say be authentic in whatever you're going to share. And now for me, I connect, especially, so I work with a lot with preachers.
Right.
So if they want to share a story in a sermon, got to be raw with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
in today's society,
Right.
we're exposed to so much
Yeah.
that if
Yeah.
we smell a hint of you being fake,
Right.
I'm not listening to whatever else you have to tell me.
Listen.
So be very real and raw
Yeah.
in what you have
Yeah.
to say. But you
Yeah.
also have to use wisdom because
Yeah.
you can't share everything.
Right. Right.
I also tell people, depending on, if it's a corporate setting or whatever the case may be, you can amp it up with imagery. You can also amp it up with music.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's be real here.
Yeah.
When that preacher is talking.
Oh yeah. And the organ get to.
And that organ.
Yep.
Or
Yep.
those strings.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that voice
Yep.
is getting
Yep.
a little
Yep.
cracky. You can't tell me that's not resonating with that room.
Right. Exactly.
I'm just saying.
It does.
It's connecting.
It does.
And so I tell people, but still, even in that, you still have to be authentic because people know.
Yeah.
So again, I would tell people, depending on who your audience is and what your end goal is that you want them to receive.
Yeah.
Let that be your compass on how deep you go, how much you share, how you share it, your delivery method, because how CEOs process things when they hear your story. Maybe you're pitching something to them because you want a grant.
Right.
How you talk to them is different than how you're going to talk to your regular competition. So again, you have to let whoever's in the room, and again, how far you want to go, let that be your compass. I hope I'm answering your question.
You are. You are.
And again, if you can add imagery, a video, do that. Like, I love that commercial, In the Arms of an Angel, that ASPCA commercial.
Oh yeah.
Lord have mercy.
See, I'm a crybaby. I don't like watching stuff.
If we were just talking
if I had a bunch of money, they get all my money.
If we were just talking about animals being mistreated versus
but when you see it, it's a whole nother
right. So whether it's in a sermon, whether it's in a boardroom, whether it's in a classroom, people process things differently. So whatever your story is, try to get creative in letting whatever that audience, what would resonate with them, and be okay with that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good because the imagery, and it really is about getting people to see what you see.
Absolutely.
Getting them to feel what you feel.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how do you get that across to them if they're not your normal audience, if they're not your congregation? How do you, tell your story where it resonates and where it not only resonates, but it produces action? Because at the end of the day, there's a call to action.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, this has been good. Another thing. Sometimes people don't understand how they need to control the narrative.
Oh, you're going to have to.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if there's a negative story or if there's negative press behind a person, an organization. Speak a little bit about controlling the narrative. Because we talked about this just a little bit about, if there's a negative story and what your response is or what, how you mitigate that. What does that look like?
Yeah. If you don't control your narrative, someone else is.
Absolutely.
And I'll just say just something personal I went through just earlier this year, my own personal journey. I had to control the narrative.
Yeah.
And one of the ways I did that is by telling on myself. I just say, yes, this is what I did. This is how it happened. This is where I am.
Yeah.
And so by me expressing enough information.
Right, because you don't tell everything, but you give enough.
Exactly.
Yes.
Sharing enough information, then it took my power back. And so whomever may have had questions or whatever, that was on them. And so I tell people, whether it's in any type of reputation management situation, if you can get in front of the story, and one of the ways to do that is by telling what happened, being transparent, what happened, being open to answering questions, and letting people know this is how we're going to mitigate this. This is how we're going to, this is the issue, and this is what steps we're taking now to solve it. And whether it's maybe a personal matter, because again, I work with churches. So whether it's a personal matter that happened to a pastor, or maybe a staff member, because those things happen.
Yeah.
I've had to do a lot of reputation management for churches. If you could be honest with your stakeholders,
that's right.
honest with
That's
your board, be
That's
honest with the
That's
community,
Yeah. Yeah.
be honest.
Truthful and honest. Yeah.
It helps you control
It
the
does.
aftermath of whatever it is.
And it takes your power back, like you said, because
power
if you give them the opportunity to run a story that's 99% not true, people are going to believe the first thing they hear.
Absolutely.
And people have itching ears. And so they want to believe the worst. You know, they're always looking for dirt. But no, you control, like you say, control the narrative. Hey, and I'm like that too. Like, people can't say nothing about me because I tell on myself all the time. Like, because you will never get an opportunity to hold anything over my head. Yeah, I was at this place and but you know, because I know how people are, but it is critical, especially for churches, for businesses, even individuals, control your own narrative. Tell your story because you know the truth and be transparent and authentic. But you know, there's just enough that you share. You don't have to give them the whole play by play. This is what happened. This is how I responded. And this is what I'm doing moving forward.
And one of the things that, if I can add to what you're saying,
absolutely,
is there's a scripture that does say, strengthen what remains. So whoever hears your narrative, and you have to be timely with your narrative.
absolutely.
You can't wait like a month later.
Absolutely.
But whatever that aftermath looks like, whoever decides to no longer support you, or who does, strengthen what remains. That's good. And take that and bounce back from whatever. But the point is, control the narrative. Let the people know this is what happened. This is where we are now. This is where we're headed. And those who support you and believe in you,
I love that.
they'll be there.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? And you strengthen what we're.
That's right. That's right. Because those are your people.
That's it. Because they know your voice.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yes.
That's a good segue into us finishing up this conversation. We have been blessed by the lovely Danielle Harris, the preaching executive. You don't say the do's and don'ts of public and media relations. This is Tuesday, October the 14th. So if you missed this episode, you need to go back, play it back, share it with people, share it with your children. How do they reach out to you, Danielle?
Yep. So you can go to thepreachingexecutive.com. You can email me at hello@thepreachingexecutive.com. I'm also on Facebook, Threads, Instagram, and YouTube.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love this conversation and I love you.
And I love you too. You keep going.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you. We'll see you guys back in 2 weeks for another episode of Tuesday Talks with Tonia. Y'all have a good evening.